At Lounges TV, we think you should be paid quickly. So if you want to profit from your talent within 24 hours, then make sure it's on Lounges TV.
Hello there, and a very warm welcome back to another episode of The Voice of Boxing in association with Lounges TV, the streaming platform. And I have a very, very special guest today, somebody that I've spent a huge amount of my career alongside, somebody I first met 3 decades ago in Brendan Ingalls' gym in Sheffield, and then we were TV partners for a long, long time. I haven't seen a great deal of him lately. He's back with me alongside Johnny Nelson, former world cruiserweight champion, star of Sky TV, and a great friend. Good to see you.
You know what, Ads? I've been watching this little pod of yours. It's slowly but surely growing on me and everybody else around. I thought, I want to get on that one day. I hope he gives me the call. Then you gave me the call. I'm like, yes, I'm in. And actually, you just announced it there. I just thought I've missed that voice. It's just that energy between us. And to me, there'll never have been a better partnership in regards to this kind of life, this second career that I've had. So I'm flattered to be here.
You're happy. You've had a great post-fight career in the media. We still see you everywhere, bouncing around, sprinkling controversy, and having fun. There's always a smile on your face, and you love engaging with different fighters of different ages. You always have done. Are you still loving it like you always have?
I'll always love it. Our sport is, you've got to be kind of crazy to love our sport. And on the outside looking in, you think, why would you like that? Why would you want to do such a barbaric sport? And it's not just what's happened inside the ring, it's what happened inside the gym. It's you've seen debate, you've seen people gossip and fall out and make up or change their mind about an opinion they had on fighters. And I've seen it all grow out. I've seen new fighters come in. Those new fighters tend to old fighters go out. I was a fighter, so I understand fight language, I understand fight ethics, I understand fight culture. So I like to play the devil's advocate when I'm asking a question or when I'm speaking or interviewing people, because I might know the answer, and I think boxers will probably respect me a little more than a reporter asking the questions, because they know I know better. So they'll probably be less inclined to try and hustle me with a reporter answer, whereas anybody in the game think, nah, that it don't happen like that. Come on. So and I hope the fighters respect me, because I don't think I throw anybody under the bus. I say it how it is, and so I know sometimes Fury thinks I don't like him. I actually do, but I'll just call out his BS. And I've done it with AJ. And
is it being honest and authentic?
It's being honest and authentic, and so even though people don't like what you're saying, they've got to respect it. So the stuff I've said about AJ in the past, what he's probably not been happy about, now this mature version of AJ, and look back and think, I see where you are.
But do you say things just to wind up occasionally? We've had the 1,000%. We've had the Usyk average southpaw. We've had fun as well. And people say, oh, Johnny's just doing it because he wants to sort of rattle cages and have a bit of amusement.
Well, lads, I probably believe it. I just had a bit of seasoning to the answer. That's all. So and if people know the game, they'll kind of see it. But the masses, they'll probably just hear what I say instead of looking in and listening to what I'm saying. So therefore, I'm going to get villainized. You're a trouble causer. You're a hater. You're all the things and more. But I don't mind, because as well as I know, my career, I took a lot of stick to start off with, and I had to be thick-skinned, because if I wasn't, I'd never end up a world champion. I'd never end up in such an amazing job at doing this that you school me in, working in the media.
Yeah, walk through it off a duck's back, I always think. It's the way that you sort of laugh it off. Let's go back. For those, obviously, that know your career, it was an amazingly odd one, a strange one, something that came really good at the end after a lot of bumps and setbacks. And I think that's why you do appeal to fighters of all levels, whether they're journeymen or world superstars. But you you came in a sort of strange way. You didn't tell your mum. You sort of sneaked to the boxing gym. Why did it all start? And what were the hopes at that stage when you were a kid?
Funny thing is, one thing I know now I'm an adult is we as humans, we complicate things that are so simple. And the only reason why I started boxing was to make friends. That was it. I was a shy kid, and as I said, as I got older, I realised that shyness within me manifested itself in the way I fought, in the way I thought of myself, the way I'd get in the ring thinking, God, what am I doing here? I'd panic. I think I was scared, but I wasn't scared. I was just a nervous kid. I've always been a nervous kid. An adult stood in my close to me, speaking to me, I'd start crying uncontrollably. I've no idea why. From 4 years old, but I'd always been that way. So I just mistook things that happened to everybody. I mistook it for a negative. When I was nervous, I thought I was scared. When I wasn't a academically clever kid at school, but if you showed me something, I could do it. If you read me something, I could repeat it. If I read it myself, I couldn't. My reading ability was that of a 10, 11-year-old by the time I left school. So I just was talented in a different way. But unfortunately, maybe now people understand different types of talent. Mm-hmm. I don't feel uncomfortable saying that. I don't think I'm arrogant saying that. I just think I get it now. I'm 57. So I look back at that young man and like even when I look at the De Leon fight, I want to put my hand in the TV screen and slap myself because I know what he's thinking. But with experiences, both good and bad, comes wisdom. And that's the stage I'm at now. So as a young man, I hated boxing. Absolutely hated it. I hated being in the ring. I hated everything about it. I loved being in the gym with the lads, but I hated everything else. And I kept thinking to myself, why do I keep coming back? And I just couldn't figure it out.
You lost 10 of 13 amateur fights. You lost your first 3 professional fights. I think Brendan Ingalls, your mentor, said to you, we'll go for 5 and then maybe you
get a proper job,
become a policeman or something else, which I know that you were thinking about. What got you through that stage? What got you through the heartache of the De Leon fight, which was live on ITV, which you got vilified for? It was a very difficult time for you. But you stuck with it, and you stuck with Brendan. What was the story behind it? How did he do it?
The one thing, again, I can look back, and you think, oh, that's what it was. I think if I'd have walked away from boxing, I meant I walked away from Brendan, and it became a very major factor in my life, my development as a young man, how I looked at life.
Did he become a father figure?
Oh, completely, and how he spoke to me, how he spoke with me, how he educated me without me even realising it, how he brainwashed me in a positive way. And he laughs and jokes about it. Yeah, I'm brainwashing you in a positive way. And he'd be telling me stuff about Marcus Aurelius, Genghis Khan, Adolf Hitler, but he's telling me all these stories about these people. To me, I'm thinking he's telling me this because he's saying, look, these are just people. But this is what they did in their life. But they're just people like you and I. But this is how they viewed life. So at the same time, I wasn't just getting a history lesson. I was getting a human lesson to say they are no different from you. Think of yourself on their level. Think of yourself, why can they do it and you can't? And it took years for the penny to drop to think, well, why not? Why shouldn't it be me? Why shouldn't it be everybody else? And so, and unfortunately in this country, we are so uncomfortable with saying what we're good at because we think we're deemed to be arrogant, big-headed, full of ourselves. So we think it's a negative. There's nothing wrong with owning your special, owning what you can do, and saying it if you have to say it, because
everybody's got something special about them.
Everybody has a special about them. Just not everybody finds it. Not everybody knows what it is. But we all have a special about it. The path I went on, I stumbled on it. Some people are born and they know their path in life from being a kid. You knew when you was young, you used to sit in front of the TV doing commentary, recording it. As a kid, you knew your path in life. That's what you wanted to do. I had no idea. So God finds a way of putting you on the right path, making you find it. So be careful what you ask for from God, because God will give it you. But remember, it's going to come at a price.
You went into exile, really, for many years. It was a sort of self-imposed one. You went all around the world, different countries, different cultures, different experiences, fighting as a cruiserweight, a heavyweight, taking real risks in people's backyards. I guess all of that period, and it was years, was a growing up stage and where you learnt to look after yourself.
And again, I would credit that to Brendan. I credited him because he tried everything possible, said everything possible, tried every trick in the book in his arsenal. So to send me as away as a sparring partner, to have me boxing around the world, which hadn't been done on that scale with anybody before, during or after my career, was the making of me. Is the best thing that and I look back at it and think, God, it was horrible at the time, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, but it was the best thing I could have done. Because it made me appreciate who I was, made me realise how good I was, made me grow up and decide what I wanted. Because if I didn't want it, I came home and I knew I couldn't come back. Because once I've failed once and I've come back home and quit, I'm always going to quit. And not just in boxing and sparring, I'll quit in every aspect in life when it gets hard, relationships, jobs, anything that I really want. If I get into the habit of being a quitter, then it spreads. It's a transferable skill. So I want the transferable skill to be a positive thing, to say, all right, then I want to be successful in everything transferable. But it was a long, drawn-out process, and it was a lot of self-thought. And I look back now and I just scratch my head and think, Brendan, brilliant. He'd make sure I phoned him every night from the payphone, putting 50 pence in the phone, phoning him, what happened, have you gone on today? He was my counsellor, and I didn't even realise it. I just thought, he said, make sure you phone me every day. Do not, if you're sparring, do not beat them up. So in a way, he's building up my confidence, like, I'm sparring with a world
And it was these new ideas. He was going against the grain of everybody else.
Yeah. And everybody said, Brendan, he's garbage. What are you doing with this kid? He's no good. So Brendan said, he's tried everything. He's tried every brain trick in the book. And I'm telling you find a fighter that has walked my shoes, that has been a sparring partner for almost 6 years, that had travelled the world and boxed at the same time, fell out of love with boxing, still boxed, losing to people like Norbert Akasi, Henry Akinwande, the South African, Corey Sanders. Right, and so I had to go up and down. I had to want it myself. So so at one point, I can remember when I boxed Corey Sanders and Henry Akinwande, I went into the ring knowing I wasn't going to win. Accepting I wasn't going to win. But knowing I wasn't going to get knocked out.
Because most fighters have to go into the ring believing they're going to win.
Yeah. So I knew for a fact these guys could knock me out. So even though they were top-ranking heavyweights, and I was a cruiserweight at highest 13-12, I knew Henry Akinwande is not going to knock me out. I knew Corey Sanders were not going to knock me out. No matter what they did, they weren't good enough to do that. So again, that's a build-up of my confidence a little bit to think I can do it. And it was a slow build.
You and I have talked for many, many hours over many, many years. We need 100 podcasts to fill all the stories. But tell us one or two of the craziest ones from around the world.
Oh, my goodness. I'm trying to think. I've got so many. Obviously, my eureka moment, and I've said the story before, where I was sparring with Fabrice Teosa in Lyon, in France. I'd been out there about 3 months. He was training to defend his world title. His coach was a guy called Darky Smith. Anybody knows him in boxing? You know him from back in the 80s.
Stephen Smith's dad.
Yeah. And Darky had the job to bring him through his training camp. Darky got in touch with Brendan saying, I want Johnny Nelson as a sparring partner for him. Brendan, when I got out there, Brendan said, don't beat him up. I'm thinking, Brendan's just trying to massage me ego. You'll be all right. And I found that every day when I'd be sparring with him, I'd be hitting him and I'm thinking, I can land. And he'd be throwing a shot and I could see him coming and slip him, thinking, he's just warming up. But day after day after day, it was like this. To one day we're in the gym and I'm hitting him, and Darky Smith's in the neutral in the corner, and he's looking at me because I knew Darky from England, and obviously they've just started their relationship. Darky's like shaking his head, and so I'm looking at Darky over his shoulders, like, are they trying to set me up? You know, so because Darky's saying back off so he can jump on me and build up his confidence. But Darky's actually saying back off because this kid's fighting for a world title and you're beating him up. To the point where I'd throw a shot and I'd pull the shot so it didn't hit him full force. I thought, so I'm growing like 10 men thinking, I've been doing this for years now. And I could feel myself growing to say, you've been doing this all these years. This is the fruit of it. Look at what you're doing to the world champion. Having a conversation. Anyway, sparring had finished. Darky, he's then taking my gloves off. He said, Johnny, Fabrice is going to ask you to come tomorrow to spar again tomorrow because he's upset. Tell him you've hurt your hand and you want tomorrow off. And I'm like, but Darky, I'm all right. Tell him, Johnny. Oh, okay, cool, no problem. Fabrice said, tomorrow? You knew Fabrice well. Tomorrow we spar? I went, yeah, no problem, but I've hurt my little finger and he's so can I have a rest tonight? You know, can we do it Thursday? Yeah, it was the Tuesday night. Can we do it Thursday? And he looked at Darky and Darky said, let's give him the day off. Talked to him, I thought, beautiful play. I left the gym, walked downstairs, had my bag. I was staying in a bed set across the road from the gym. It was a clear day. It wasn't a cloud in the sky. And there was a white stretched limousine outside and a beautiful mixed race woman in front of the car, a little white poodle there. I'd been there 3 months. I'd been at any female company, and this woman waved at me, and I thought, oh my God! I waved back like an idiot, and I heard a voice behind me, "See you tomorrow, Johnny." And I turned round. She was waving at her husband, Fabrice, behind me. So I put my hand in my pocket, and she got in the car, and I said, "Yeah, see you tomorrow." I saw him kiss his wife on the cheek, got in, chauffeur driven it was, I got in the back seat, and I'm like, and I was just stood there in the street watching them drive up the hill. I'm like, what? And I was just I was so mad at myself. One, because I just mugged myself off. Two, because I thought, she's absolutely beautiful. And I've just beat him up, and they've driven off in a chauffeur-driven limousine. And I thought, what is wrong with this picture? This conversation I'm having in the street with myself, just stood there waiting to cross the road, watching it go in the distance. I thought the only difference between me and him is he can perform in public and I can't, because I've just beat him up every day. His coach is trying to save him. I've got to have the day off tomorrow to make him defend his world title, and he's driving off to his chateau. And I'm stood there, I thought, Johnny, you're an idiot. I just said it. And out loud, I had my bag going, you're an idiot. You deserve everything you get right now because you're an idiot. The only person that's stopping you is you. Then, boom, it started raining. It was clear skies. And I just stood there and I looked up and I just started laughing. I thought, you're such an idiot. And I didn't even run in the rain. You know, when you run, I just walked back in the rain, shaking my head. Got into the apartment. Went down, did the usual with Brendan. After every day we sparred, I'd ring him up. I was so mad at myself. And I told Brendan the story. And I said, Brendan, I'm never going to lose again. And he said, come on. That's what he needed. That's what he wanted. 6 years I was doing this on and off. He said, come home. He now knew the penny had dropped. He now knew I believed who I was. He now knew I saw the talent in me that he saw. And to me, I just thought, that was it, I'm done. So actually, it's the first sparring camp I ever left. Biggie said, come on. So at the weekend, I said to Fabrice, my finger's out, I'm done. Brendan knew, he said, come on, you're done.
We'll talk about coming home in a second, but before that, that's a tale that a few people have heard. Tell us a tale that no one's really heard. I've heard a few about money in Brazil and climbing out of windows. Anything you can share? That's,
I can tell you the story about in Brazil. That's a guy called Aldas Rodrigues. They call him Maguila. And he'd only lost to, I think he's at Evander Holyfield at this point. He was a heavyweight and originally should have boxed Bone Crusher Smith. If you're old school head, you know Bone Crusher was. 3 times I boxed to stood in for Bone Crusher Smith. And so they called me out to Brazil to fight this Aldas Rodrigues. I didn't know who he was. Got out to Brazil because I always wanted to go to Brazil. And then one country I thought I need to go to. Got out to Brazil and it came to fight. This guy was massive. And I'd hit him, my punches just bounced it was like a proper gorilla, boom, bounce off him. He was massive, so strong, but he just had really long arms. And I can remember hitting him, and when I hit him, you know, one time I hit him in the corner, he fell down, but I kind of fell on top of him, and the referee pumped, but I hit him and fell through him, and I got told off, and a warning for it as well. And then this woman ran up to ringside and threw a bottle at me, and the bottle hit the rope, and it had water in. The lid came off it. And I'm like, and so the referee told me off again, like told me off. I'm like, what? I kicked the bottle out of the ring, I beat him. I beat him fair and square. The fight ended. They gave him the nod that he won. So now I understood why the only fight he'd lost was against. I think it was Evander. I can't know. It was one fight he'd lost, and that's when he stepped out of the country.
Yeah.
We left. Went downstairs. I was so upset, but I'm like, what? I wanted to go back and say I won in Brazil.
They robbed you.
Yeah, they robbed me. Got in the shower. This is the beginning. So that's one. It all comes in threes. Got in the shower. I'm in the shower just washing off. And then I tried to adjust the shower because it was like spitting out a little bit. As I touched it...
That's horrible when that happens, isn't it?
As I touched it, the electrics were on the outside of the shower. So I touched it. I'm off. And the shower, I'm like, oh my... Got out of the shower. So I'm off, sweating off, electrocuted. I'm like... Anyway, they paid me cash. I think I got about £30,000 cash. So now I've got £30,000 cash at the venue. So now I've
in what?
In
dollars?
In dollars. Yeah.
They just give it to you in a bag.
So now we've got to get the money, and because he said when you go to Brazil, the cops shoot first, ask questions later. so I've got the money now, and I've tucked it, spread it round, tucked it inside my clothing and everything. We drove to the venue in a stretch limousine. And there was five of us. There was a Scottish kid boxing on the bill as well. So we're all in this stretch limousine. I thought, yeah, I love this. When we're leaving, a Fiat Uno came to take us back. So we all crammed up in this Fiat Uno. 3 of us in the back, 2 in the front. No, 4 of us in the back, 1 in the front, and the driver. Squeeze up in. So this guy's driving. He's saying, yes, I'm like Ayrton Senna. He's turning round, like speaking to us. And I'm like, oh my God, because he's driving like a proper madman. And then he's pulled over. Oh, cops. Oh, no. Cops pulled us over. So we sat in the car. Oh, my God. I'm upset now. They've just robbed me. I've got electrocuted. And
the cash?
Wait. Cash is tucked in. And so the driver got out. He's talking really fast to the cops. The cops bang on the roof with the butt of his gun. Boom, boom, boom. And I thought, I'm not getting out. Wrong time to be a little mardy arse, Johnny Nelson. I'm not getting out. So everybody got out. I'm like, I ain't getting out. I'm not getting out. Stuff it. John Ingalls, Johnny, get out of the car. No, Johnny. Look. So I turned round. Cops like that with his gun cocked at me over his car, pointing at me. And I looked, I went, whoa. Put my hands up. I got out the car, hands on top of the car. And I thought, oh, this is serious. So we're all lined up. The driver, everybody else. I'm the last one. So the driver knows I'm going to get robbed by the cops. They're like kids. And so he's talking to him really fast. I don't know what he said, but he's talking to him. He's obviously trying to distract him. I heard him mention Champion Damone. I heard him mention McGilla, the fighter. And as he got to me to search, you boxed McGilla? I said, yes. You win? No, I lost. And he started laughing. They'd not pat me down yet. And the driver's looking, and he's like, keep talking. I said, yeah, I lost. He's a very good fighter. And I'm like bigging him up, saying, and he said, okay. And he like, the gun's in his hand. Okay, you go. And I'm so like, push me, go, you get in the car. And we're in the car, and we all got back in again. And the driver said, if he'd have searched you, he would have taken all your money. Really? He said you were lucky. So he said, anyway, we're good. Come on, let's go. We're driving. Whoa,
you're okay. You got the cash.
Got the cash. Whoa, driving away. Boom. Drove into the back of a car.
Really?
I thought, I am never coming back to this place again. Consequently, because the scoring was so bad and there was so much controversy about the fight, we had to go back again for the rematch to fight McGilla again. So I thought they will never do it again in a million years. They did exactly the same thing again probably about 5 months later. When I get back to Gatwick Airport, and remember, I've got cash.
Did you keep all the cash?
I kept all the cash. Well, I've got cash. So when I get back to Gatwick Airport, the cash is like, I've got cash like, I get to Gatwick Airport, and there's a baggage handler comes at the other side, and as I came down the escalators, this baggage handler said, yo, they've been in your bag, they're going to get you. And but he said it, didn't look at me, and like I didn't quite catch what he said, and he walked off. And I thought, was he talking to me? so I thought, what did he say? Anyway, I went to get my bag. I'm waiting. Everybody's gone. I'm like,
no bag.
There, no bag. And then everybody had gone. Then security went, called me through, and I said, have you got my bag? Yes. Will you open it, please? So now I know it's up. I said, look, you've already been in my bag. I know you have. And you shouldn't do that unless I'm there. Open your bag, please. So I opened my bag, and then it had stuff in it. And they said, and why have you got all this money? I said, I'm a prize fighter. And that's what I've got paid. And so, and because they thought I was shipping drugs through, because I'd been for 4 or 5 months before.
And you weren't?
I'd gone 4 or 5 months before, and that's why. But they were, honestly, I just thought, so Brazil, even though it was a country,
Did you get all the money home?
I got all the money home.
Miraculous.
Every red dam. And so God was looking on me because I thought that money would have gone in a heartbeat. We've been in a situation where Brendan, we've got paid cash, and Brendan, once we fought, we can't fly out Corsica. When I boxed, he stopped me. I can't remember the guy's name. We were in boxing Corsica. They paid me cash. When they paid me cash, we weren't flying home till the next day. So Brendan refused to leave the room. It was the height of summer, and so he got in the room. At night time, we put a chair behind the door. The money, he hid it in the mattress. In a mattress of the bed, and he wouldn't come out the room. So if they're going to rob us, they'll find no money, and they'll think we're getting paid when we get back home. It was hot summer. We were stuck in a hotel room. We said, no, we're staying here. Not even going for a walk. Not even going downstairs for something to eat.
Money under the bed.
Under the mattress, and that was it. So there's some tales. People don't see the glamorous side of boxing. They just see the AJ rubbish. but yeah, it was interesting.
Some scraps, some, I guess, life-changing, life-altering experiences. You came home after that one. Brendan said, that's it, you're back. And that's where it all began to get really good. I think there was 30-odd fights where you never lost. There was one draw in there, but you eventually won the world title. You defended it 13 times, 7.5-year reign. I think that's what people forget is how successful you were. You called yourself the entertainer. You didn't entertain all the time. In fact, you were really dull and boring at times. But occasionally you put a great knockout in. But I guess it's a great turnaround because you'd learned all the hard stuff, and then you knew you had the confidence to go and win British, European, world, and stay there,
yeah.
and remain at the top, which. Yeah. And be a very useful asset to Frank Warren because fighters would get injured and you'd always be fit. So you had a really successful career because of everything you've been through.
Yeah, and that to me, I just think, I keep saying, you go through experiences in life, good and bad, to get wisdom. I had to go through my experience publicly. I had to learn to be a fighter and learn to validate myself in public. So you're not just doubting yourself. You've got a million bosses in the street telling you, no good, I saw your fight the other day, you're rubbish. So can you imagine your boss giving you a hard time every minute of every day? That's what it's like for a boxer. When you lose, when you box terrible, everybody all of a sudden becomes your boss telling you how good you should have been, what you should have done, how bad you was. And so it kind of makes you or breaks you. Because I had such a rough start, I knew once I became champion, I would never, ever lose it in the ring because I believed that I'd walked every single path you can in boxing. I was a loser. I'd been stopped. I'd won. I drew. I'd got from the bottom all the way to the top. So nobody can tell me about my job. And so even now, I'll probably talk with it might come across as arrogance, with confidence and self-belief about our sport of boxing, because I know there's not one fighter on earth that has walked my path. Not one fighter on earth. So when I meet and see...
Who's got a ton of losses, but still became a world champion for record-breaking years.
I was going to say, so not one fighter on earth. So that's why I can speak to a novice, a journeyman, a champion, potential champion, confidently, and feel as though I've got something to give them, to some words of wisdom to give them.
Do you think you were a great fighter or a great product?
I was a product of the gym. And Brendan understood that. There was a steely determinedness in me that I didn't even recognise, that if he could harness it into being a fighter, would be a fighter that shouldn't lose. And I didn't believe that. I really didn't believe that until I was about 28. And then once the penny dropped, I thought, oh, I get it.
And why didn't you fight Mike Tyson?
I'd have kicked his ass. Mike actually laughs and he just said, tell him that joke. Tell him when I was going to kick your ass. That was funny. So Frank had a 3-fight deal with Mike Tyson. in London. It was a big deal, all the press and everything. And Frank had Mike Tyson training in the Grosvenor House Hotel on Park Lane. And Frank phoned me, Frank Warren, because same promoter. He said, Johnny, I want you to come down and meet Mike Tyson. I've got to be cool, like it's no big deal. Oh my God, I'm going to meet Mike Tyson. It's in all the papers and everything. So I'm like, yeah, no problem, Frank. I'm world champion. Jesus. Anyway, I get the train to London, get the tube to Marble Arch, I think it is, top of Park Lane. Talking like a proper tourist now. Walk down Park Lane. As I got to the Grosvenor Hotel, I got downstairs into the ballroom. It's packed out. The press there, the public there. There's a ring in the middle, and I'm looking through the door because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to enter, like a gunslinger. And Mike's finished sparring, battering somebody in sparring. He got out the ring, then he just opened the door. People looked at me. I knew they were looking. I'm like, got a swagger on, like I just walked. I'm walking on a yacht. All right. And the press like, John Nelson's there. People like, John Nelson, what's he doing here? I walked to Mike, walked to the ring, and I'm just about to put my hand up to Mike. I said, how you doing, Mike? And Mike said, I know who you are, Johnny Nelson. And I thought, oh my God. I said, what, you heard that? So I was a big deal. I'm like, yeah, thanks. Frank said, this is World Cruiserweight Champion. Yeah, I know who he is, man. I know him. He said, is this... But Mike's got my hand at the time now, shaking my hand, and I'm feeling like 10 men because everybody can see Mike Tyson knows me.
What was the handshake like?
Hot, firm. It was. He's got really big hands. It's a proper... I've got big hands. So, and his feet are bigger than mine. So everybody's seen him say hello to me and shook my hand, and I'm like, yes. But he knows I know him. And the presser there, and Mike's got my hand, and he turned to Frank. He said, "Is this the third opponent?" And I'm trying to get my hand out. I'm like, Jesus. So Frank said, "Yeah, we're just going to sort out some details." I'm like, "Oh my God!" But I've got to be cool because people have heard this conversation now, and so they've heard Mike Tyson fight Johnny Nelson, and so they've heard their conversation. I didn't say anything, and so Mike turned to me and said, "You want it, champ? And some money?" I went, Yeah, no problem. Got my hand back, and then I started walking out, but I had to be cool, like it was no big deal. In my head, it was a proper circus, thinking, oh my God, am I going to get out of this fight? I am not fighting Mike Tyson. He'll slaughter me. This is like, I'm back to being that little loser again. Oh my God. And so I came out of the place, got home, and people are ringing my house, press are ringing my house. Johnny Nelson, you're fighting Mike Tyson. You looking forward to it? And I'm like, yeah, I'm
really am.
Yeah. And I'm hustling my way through the conversation, and then he fought Julius Francis, knocked him out in about 3 or 4 rounds. Julius Francis knew he was getting knocked out because he got a sponsorship by the Daily Mirror on the bottom of his
2
sock.
rounds, 5 knockdowns. Daily Star got everything, didn't they?
Got 50 grand, Daily Star, on the bottom of his boot.
Manchester Arena.
Yeah. So you see his feet in the air, Daily Star.
Yeah.
Bottom of his feet.
Yeah.
And he got knocked out.
Yeah.
And he's a proper heavyweight. I'm a cruiserweight. So now he's boxing Julius Savaris.
Louis Savaris.
Louis Savaris, Hampden Park.
Yeah.
So Frank says, Johnny, I want you to come up. Oh, God, no. So I've got to be cool here. I've got to be cool. So I went up. You watched the fight. He didn't just knock down Louis Savaris. He knocked down the referee as well. And
rainy night at Hampden Park.
It was a rainy night at Hampden Park. And Mike, as he knocked him down, if you watch the fight on TV, you see him run to ringside shouting something. And he's shouting, "You sure you want some of that, motherfucker?" And all sort of stuff. That's somebody's me you're shouting to.
And you were there.
Yeah, and I'm sat there, I'm like, oh my God, it's that moment again where the press and everybody in the public can see what he's shouting to me.
And he was really scary that
night. Oh my God, yeah. So I'm like, oh shit. So I'm thinking, what do I say? So I just couldn't think of something really witty to say to put me in his place. So like the idiot I said, just get yourself fit, fat boy. And it was like, you're in Hampden Park. It was like silence. People thinking, what did you just say? What did you say? And I thought, oh God. My wife sat next to me. She went, oh my God, dickhead. You are a dickhead.
That's the best you could do.
And I just thought, what an idiot. Anyway, we went back to the hotel. Mike was staying in the same hotel. And I don't know what he was doing on that floor at that time. Anyways, it was about
And he'd also done a post-fight interview where he said he was going to eat Lennox Lewis's children.
That's right. Same night.
He completely
Same
lost
night,
it,
he
didn't
lost
he?
the plot.
Yeah.
So now I'm fighting this guy next. So went back to the hotel. There was a party downstairs. I think I was on the 4th or 5th floor. Got in the lift about 2 o'clock in the morning. Lift stopped on the 2nd floor and the lift door opened. Mike Tyson, bodyguard, his name was Crocodile, always dressed in army gear.
And
he's
throat
barrister. And I thought, number one, why are you on the 2nd floor at 2 o'clock in the morning? Number one. Number two, oh shit, I'm with my wife. This man's gonna slaughter me in the lift in front of my wife. So I'm trying to stand like I'm like ready for it. I said, you all right, champ? You getting in? Yeah. So he went to step forward, and as he went to step forward, the solicitor put his hand in front of him and said, no, we'll get in the next one. There's no me, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And I went, cool. Trying to be really cool. The lift door started to close, and his mouthy bodyguard, Crocodile, was behind him, saying, fuck you up, motherfucker. Like, lip reading it behind, like those little bullies that say when they've got a crowd, wouldn't say that by himself. You motherfucker. So, stupid Johnny decides to respond, but I did it at the right time as the lift doors to the point of no return. We've all been in a lift where someone tries to get you, pretend you're pressing it to help him, and you let it shut. So when it got to the point of no return, I'm like, and boom, the door shut. My wife's like, why have you done that? Why have you done that? It's going to be trouble downstairs now. We ended up walking back up 5 flights of stairs that night. We didn't go to any after party. That was it.
Run, Johnny.
So unfortunately, the third fight didn't happen because Frank and Mike had a little set to, should I say. And you'll understand the set to because when he boxed Louis Savarese, you see Frank Warren in the ring in a tartan suit and a black eye that has got terrible makeup on it, so you try and cover it up. That was their tar between them. So I'll not go into it on this pod why it happened and what happened, but I know exactly what happened in the room. And so Frank and Mike, they parted ways. So the third fight didn't happen. I personally think I'd have battered him, but I can say what I want because the fight never happened.
I really started hanging around with you, I guess, in the days of Prince Nassim Hamed when he was coming through, and Ryan Rhodes and Junior Witter and all of those guys in the gym. And I think what I found in you as a young reporter and then a commentator was somebody who had been through all those experiences. So I always thought that you'd be great for TV because you could, as you said earlier, relate to everyone in the sport. There was no ego. There was an ability to laugh at yourself. There was a real love of people, an engagement with the young coming through. I spotted that, and I was desperate for you to win a world title so that you'd have that name on it. You did against Carl Thompson. It was a dream come true, and then you had those many years of defending the title and staying on top. In my opinion, you got out at the right time. Enzo Maccarinelli and you were slated to fight. I know your knees and your body had packed up. You were almost artificially put back together by that point, and I think Enzo Maccarinelli would have knocked you out.
Oh, my God, Ads, why would you say that?
But that's for another day. You joined us at Sky, and it's been an incredible journey for you.
Yeah.
It's been a roaring success. There's so many programs that we've come up with. The Gloves Are Off, which Hugo Simpson, our friend, our communications coach friend, and you and I sort of came up, and that amazing sort of George Groves, Carl Froch, and Chisora, and all of James DeGale, and all the great nights on Gloves Are Off, all the countdown shows, all the brilliant analysis you've done. That's what I was coming to. The one that everybody talks to me still about and talks around the community about is Ringside. The most popular question I ever get is, when's Ringside coming back? It was a program which meant a great deal to you, to me, to the team that made it at Sky, and to the public, because we managed to get everyone through the door. Fighters wanted to be on it. It was an incredible sort of magazine show, I guess, at the time. It lasted a few years. We were devastated when it went. And I guess my question to you is how much did you enjoy that time? Because you seem to absolutely love it.
You know what? When we started doing ringside, that is when I learned my craft. Or you taught me well. I remember when we first started, we had to read auto cue. I hated auto cue because I couldn't read. I just couldn't read. And I was embarrassed because I'm thinking, I can't read. I don't want these people to know I can't read. And you'd see it every time I'd start to read the auto cue, my shoulders would go up and I'd be tripping over the words. And these things were aired. And I thought, and unless you're a person that can't read, unless you're a person that's been in that situation, you don't understand the angst it creates. I used to get tissue and put it in my armpits, under my shirt, because I had to be sweating that much. I'd be that nervous. And I loved the show, but I hated when it was my turn to read the line. So you did it you probably were like a parent a bit. You thought, I'm not going to tell him I know, but I know. Well, just make Johnny just read that bit there instead of giving me a big, massive dialogue. I'm thinking, thanks, Ads. I knew you knew, and I think you knew I knew. I'm thinking, you're doing me a right favour. They all knew, and I'm quite sure in the gallery it must have been hard thinking, oh, God, is Johnny going to mess his line up? And I can remember Gary Lineker when he first started doing the football show. He was bad. He was terrible. But now he's like second nature. That period there was the learning, because what you did was you transformed it from that point, because what you did was you said, you know what, week after week was like that. You said, you know what, quit this, scrap this. Johnny, this is what we're going to talk about. You just put it in your words. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So that's where my personality could come out. Because when I had to read the script, it wasn't my personality, because I was still trying so hard to put two words together and like it was a conversation. But not realising I'm like that. So I look like Frankenstein. But then when, I can remember the day, I think you was talking to Sarah in your ear, and you went, stop, I'll say that. Johnny, this is what we're talking about. This is what you. So you'd say a bit, then I could just comment and say what I want to say.
And then be yourself.
And be myself. And that's when it started to blossom. Because I remember doing ringside, I thought, I prefer to get punched in my face every day of the week than having this kind of pressure. And so people don't realise it's a skill. You guys make it look so easy. So when you're a fighter coming into this, you know, this everybody has a skill. And so I was in awe of everybody that did that. And you made it look easy. And so to me, it was like trying to climb Mount Everest. But the second you did that, it was day and night. The second you did that, I actually felt more confidence in who I was, and like being able to be myself, have a laugh, have a joke, take the mickey out myself, just play the fool to catch the wise. I loved all of that. Now I see so many people in these shows actually ad-libbing, actually doing that, where they can actually be themselves, and it's more human, it's more connecting, it's more the people watching it think, I know somebody like him, and it's just changed the face of it. So unless I don't know any better, that to me, that was the first time I came across it. Now I see it everywhere. I know who's reading auto cue. I know who's not reading auto cue. I know who's just being natural, being themselves. I know who's scripted. That was you. And people don't realise it was such a tutoring, and it made such a massive difference. I loved that show. Absolutely loved it. And I look back now and we think, wow, can you imagine people we had on? Tyson Fury, when he should have boxed David Haig, James DeGale and George Groves. Look at him, look at that Ty, look at him. George Groves and Carl Froch.
The crying.
I can remember James DeGale's foot, he was that angry, his foot was shaking getting into the ring, not because he was scared, he was angry. You know, George Groves said to Carl, look at him, John, look at him, he's crying. And I'm like, oh God. Eddie Hearn, when he first came in, I'd not seen Eddie from being an 11-year-old kid when he was in my corner with his in Germany, Karlsruhe, Germany, when I boxed for the European title the first time around, as a young 11-year-old boy, and then this tall, handsome young man come in. I'm like, that's Eddie Hearn. I'm Eddie. And he went, what? Still the cheeky little sod. What? I'm like, bloody hell. And historically, that will never, ever, ever be matched.
Yeah, Froch Groves, Calm Brook, we had Barrera in, Lewis, everybody. And Yeah, it was special times, and you always said, leave the party at its highest.
Yeah,
and
that's
it
right.
would always be remembered like that, won't it?
Yeah, it would have been. And that's what I'm saying. We left at a point where, as you say, I get it as well. When Ringside coming back, I think, wow. And you don't realise how many people actually watched it, and how many people, they actually enjoyed the show. We're on a certain time, at a certain week. You got to repeat a couple of times. And it was just something that genius idea.
I think also that we had an amazing bond.
Yeah.
I was the sort
We trusted each other.
Yes.
We trusted each other. It was
it was a trust, and I think that I was always the straight guy, and I came up through my route. You came up through your route. Very different characters, brothers from another mother. We always say, look totally different, are totally different, but it was a connection and a chemistry that worked week in, week out. And I think that the two of us had a bond maybe that hasn't been seen in the sport.
I think our lives, because we've been brought up very different, I think it was intriguing for the both of us where we could enjoy the experience of each other's life. You know, you went to a lovely school where you wear turquoise uniform. We were arguing about turquoise or turquoise. It's turquoise. That's what we say in Sheffield. And I can remember going to Cape Cod to your dad's place, and we were trying to get the boat and put it in the sea. And it was like Morecambe and Wise trying to put it in. And so I got the boat and I've got it on my back thinking, I'll drag it, ads. And there's a chap in a beautiful big house stood there, like looking across. So I knew he was watching, and you're trying to direct me. I'm saying, Massa, this boat's in my bag, Massa, help me out, man. So we were bantering between us, and this chap stood there. So, what the bloody hell is going on there in America? And it was just great. It was just, we had such a laugh. And the stuff people don't know what happened behind the scenes, it's just like that stuff that when you look back and you think, oh my God, that was funny. That was funny.
I love Sky. I loved all my 29 years. I felt when Eddie went, it was a bit of a divorce. And I felt when I left, it was a bit of a divorce from you. I've struggled with that, I've got to be honest. It's a different world now. I'm a freelancer. I do the podcast. I work for GBM, I work for Summit, I've got some great companies that I'm involved in. I miss my Sky friends, and I miss you a lot. It's been tough, and I don't know how you feel. There's Matt, there's all our friends, there's great professional connections, of course, and the show goes on, so to speak. And Sky is brilliant, and we have to do our own things in life. But I miss you.
Thanks. You know what, and I miss you too. And I think, like you, when Matchroom and Sky separated, we felt like kids between two parents that had broke up. And even when we saw the Matchroom lot, they were like, this is business, you know, it's just how it is. And I think even between the relationship between the ground staff and at Sky and the ground staff at Matchroom, it's still very much the same, but we just don't work with each other. And it's sad because it was actually, when it was good, it was great. Then you parted ways, and I'm like, it was just a big change, because I found you were one of the very few people that got me. You were one of the very few people actually I felt at ease with, because I thought, you know me, and we know each other. And I'll admit, when you left, it was weird. It just felt foreign. But then when I see you about, I just think it's just, even no matter when, we still talk, we'll still message each other. But when I see you, I just forget. And I think, oh, just for that moment, I just forget. And I think, yes. And it's just such a nice feeling. But that's friendship. It's not just a professional relationship. That's friendship. And I think that's what that period of working at Sky created. Because I remember when I first came in, and Chris Brown was our boss. And Chris Brown, you know, he was a proper ruler, Genghis Khan ruling us all, and everyone was terrified of him working at Sky. And you still get stuff done, but you do it without him knowing. And you knew how to play Chris, and Chris had a soft spot for you, and it was just, there's so many stuff, so much history, so much change that I've seen. And then when you left, I'm like, who can I share those stories with? There's very few people that had that relationship with it at Sky. Sky's an amazing place and a platform for people to develop, to get better, to get exposure, to live their dream. And I'll say I'm one of those lucky fighters that got a dream job at Sky, and they'll take care of you if you can do the job. You know, you're not going to get the job because because of the colour of your skin. You're getting the job because you can do the job.
100%.
And that's it. And that's the difference. You know, they're going to have uncomfortable conversations, and they've created that culture because they're listening. They're listening. So it's creating a conversation where we want the best. And I think, in my opinion, I think Sky is the most powerful platform in world production when it comes to our sport. I can't talk about Formula One football. I can talk about our sport. And I think it's the most powerful kingdom if they want it to be.
Yeah, we've had huge opportunities and an amazing journey, haven't we? We could talk for days. Let's finish with a quick fire couple of questions or two. Who's your favourite fighter in the world at the moment?
At the moment, favourite fighter in the world? Wow. I like Ben Whittaker. I know I can say, and I'm saying world because I know Ben. I've met Ben. I recognise a special in Ben that I saw when Prince Nassim Hamoud was sprung on the scene. And I just love watching this guy's journey.
And that was fun, wasn't it?
It's not a finished article.
No.
Yeah, Ben's coming through, so I'm loving watching the journey like I love watching Naz. An amazing
That was great,
individual that you know inside out, I know inside out, and you see the rise and fall of that star. So Ben Whittaker, I like him. I think it's about opportunities, about exposure, and it's about right guidance for him.
Women's boxing, it was very important for us for many, many years to develop it, from Katie Taylor to Savannah Marshall, who we mentored for so many years, Chantel Cameron, Tasha, obviously, that we've brought over as well to the media side. Lauren Price, absolutely flying, Caroline Dubois. So many great stories out there, and it's wonderful to see, isn't it?
Unbelievable. I can remember the 2012 Olympics, you and I went to see Katie Taylor against Natasha, and out of all the boxing, all the Olympic events, this was the biggest crowd, atmosphere, buzz, and you and I were there, and I thought, oh my God, this is when I knew women's boxing is going to fly, because it was the best event in the whole Olympics. And that year, boxing got the biggest haul of medals that year. And I must admit, out of all the boxing I'd watched in the Olympics, since then, before then, after then, was that competition between Katie Taylor and Natasha. And it was just a second to none environment. Unbelievable
Atmosphere that day. Turki Al-Sheikh has completely changed boxing. It's amazing, isn't it, now?
It's amazing. And something new, and it's always going to get criticised, no matter what or who it is. And what Turki Al-Sheikh is doing, he's brought something different. And his story's not over. Where we are now is not where he wants to be. He wants to be head and shoulders above where we are now.
Do you think this carries on and on?
This carries on as long as he is in charge, and as long as he drives this ship, this will only get bigger and better. Now, regardless of all the criticism that was thrown upon it before, if you're a fight fan, if you're a fighter, you're getting what you want. This guy has got promoters that wouldn't even look in each other's direction, working together, not because they want to, because they have to. He's got fighters that want to fight. Fighter A wants to fight B in the ring worldwide. Now, so from the criticism he got about the political situation in Saudi Arabia and everything, now this has been spread to America. It's been spread to the UK. And so he's saying, look, this is what I want. Now, regardless of what historically the argument is, how are you going to get change if people won't let you change? How are you going to make a difference if people will always pull you back and say this was you in the past? It'd be like me pulling you saying, well, 400 years ago, I was your slave. Like, come on, Johnny, we're past that. Mm-hmm. You know, it's completely... So people are trying to move forward and evolve. What Turki Al-Sheikh is doing is unbelievable, unheard of, and only he could do it. Shall I tell you why? Because the money that we're scrapping about over, you're saying, look, if this is the problem, there you are. And if you don't play ball, you're out.
And he's a fan.
And he's a fight fan. The guy's a fight fan. And so we can't see his vision. We think we're at his vision now. We're nowhere near his vision. This is just like probably stage 3 of where his vision is of stage 10. his vision is so big and so massive. And if you're a fight fan, how can you complain?
I want fast answers. Who do you like better, Eddie or Frank?
Eddie?
Who's going to win, Bivol or Bateviev?
Bateviev.
Fury and Usyk in the rematch before Christmas.
Usyk.
What happens next year? Is it AJ Fury times 2 or is it Usyk AJ? What do you think happens in 2025?
I think AJ Fury. That's what will happen next year. Regardless, AJ Fury.
One at Wembley and one at Saudi, sort of a double act. Or?
Yeah, I think Saudi will be the first one because it'll probably be the biggest. But then you know what? If it was at Wembley, wow, is Wembley big enough? You know, we think 96,000 on Saturday is going to be big. Can you imagine AJ and Fury? Depending on how they go on in their next fights, but regardless, it doesn't matter, win or lose, or draw. AJ and Fury fighting each other is the biggest fight worldwide, and the reason why, and you've got to give props to Anthony Joshua, even if you love him or loathe him. 96,000 people are going to Wembley to watch two Brits fight. 96,000. Anthony Joshua has changed the face commercially of our sport, where companies that wouldn't even touch our sport want to get involved. They want to get involved because AJ has that crossover appeal, like Frank Bruno had that crossover appeal. There's a program coming out on Amazon. It's called Four Kings, and it touches on Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno, Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank, and I think it's out next week. Mm-hmm. Watch the show, and then you'll realise that's part of our boxing history. And now, what you're seeing now this weekend, in the numbers, and what's happening with Turki El-Sheikh, it is going to be part of our history in 10 years' time.
AJ Dubois, you think AJ by knockout?
AJ inside the distance, without a doubt. I'd be very surprised if anything else happened.
Future for Johnny Nelson, more of the same or ambitions that are different?
I've got different ambitions now. I love doing what I'm doing, and I hope it lasts forever and a day. But I can add things on.
You got a foundation?
Got a foundation.
You got an MBE?
Got an MBE, and thank God Brendan and my mum seeing that, thinking yes. I think I intend on starting my own podcast. Nothing to do with boxing at all, about life, and these conversations, I'm going to ask that stupid question that most people wouldn't want to ask because they feel it's stupid. And so to me, for me doing that, I'm inquisitive, always have been. I ask the question, people think I'm being a pest. I'm just interested, I want to know. That is the intention. I think I've been very fortunate to meet people like you, to meet amazing people like Brendan, to meet the people, be involved in an industry such as Sky that have given me an opportunity and showed patience when most would have said get rid. So I think I'm blessed. That's my blessing. You know what? I've seen some amazing fighters: Prince Nassim Hamid, Harold Brommer Graham, Mike Tyson. I can say I know these people that made our history, that have done amazing things in our sport. So how can somebody like me have so much experience and not use that wisdom to pass on to anybody else?
You'll come to a GBM show, won't you, with Izzy in Sheffield?
Sit down. I'm a Sheffield boy through and through. It does make me smile, and I can be anywhere in a hall. I can hear your voice. And it's like a comfort blanket.
Do you think we'll work together again?
I do, yeah. I do. We're doing something now. I think we will. I don't think that story's over.
Johnny Nelson, a guy I've known for 3 decades and more. Fantastic friend of mine. Amazing boxer, amazing human being. Great to have you on the Voice of Boxing podcast. Really want to see you again here in a few months' time, see where we are with the landscape then. But thanks very much for coming on.
At last!